We have really great sponsors like Financial in San Gabriel. And if you'd like to be part of our show, we would love to promote you on the show. So now for the Morning Buzz.
Great. Hey, so this year we have a lot of outsiders in the election, and both nationally and locally. So we have here Joe Brown. He's the former president of the NAACP here in Pasadena with us.
Good morning.
And we're going to be talking about the outsiders, like Trump.
It's trending.
It
seems
is,
like it's become a trend across the country.
Well, it seems to be taking off, and what has happened all over the country is we've seen a more interest in those persons who can speak most about jobs, justice, about meals, and then, of course, about some of those other things that American people really want to hear about. I know that our established candidates didn't seem to catch on, and so many of them have found themselves trailing unnecessarily.
Same old.
That's what's going on. And so the most important thing that we've seen, those who have begun to speak on those issues have begun to gravitate many of our young people, even those who bring up sometimes we call Black Lives Matter. But that was not the beginning of it, because it really began with Occupy.
Right.
You remember a few years ago,
I remember that.
everything was
Occupy LA.
Yes, and so all of that was a beginning of we need to do something with our establishment, whether it's in the financial arena, whether it's in the banking arena, and all of those groups now have begun to kind of take on and take off on some issues that even our local candidates many times missed.
Right.
One of them being in Monrovia.
Yeah. Well, no.
Right. Mary Lutz was voted out by, he was actually in city council, but it was Tom Adams.
That's correct.
And I know it was pretty devastating for her, and she did do some nice things for the city, but they voted her out.
Yeah.
Well, many of our local leaders, they would take heed for those who are going to be in the future going to run for some political office. We'll take a good look, even at some of the rhetoric that Donald Trump is speaking about. But I find it interestingly, we will call Donald Trump Mr. Trump, but we will call President Obama. That's an interesting dialogue that needs to go on in that. And what happens is that that's why sometimes our Black Lives Matter group seem to try to raise these things to the forefront of the various community leaders all over the country.
Well, I mean, you also have to take things into perspective. I mean, there was a gentleman from the Jewish community that was bringing up the fact that Trump had people raising their right hand and taking that pledge,
Yes.
that you're going to vote for me.
Yes.
And he said that was more like a Hitler salute. I mean, how far are we going to take things, that... In what context are we going to be looking at things in a sense?
I would tend to agree. That was, I believe, over the top in that area. But then at the same time, when groups or some of the movements called Black Lives Matter, and let me segue into that very, very quickly, Scott, because I think there's been such a misconception of what that movement is all about.
Well, let's talk about that. Would you join us next time
Sure.
to talk specifically about that one?
Sure.
Let's stay a little more focused this Morning Buzz for the election.
Okay.
And so what are your thoughts on Hillary versus Bernie?
Well, I certainly support Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. And the reason for it is that I don't think our country is really ready to go that far to the left. Questions generally come up in my mind and many other stakeholders throughout the San Gabriel Valley. Who's going to pay for all of these free giveaway projects at Bernie Sanders? Someone has to pay for that.
Would you have preferred to see someone else running in the primary?
Well, it doesn't really matter who's going to run in the primary as long as they bring forth the issues that are going to be germane to quality of life for the citizens here in the state of California and all over the country.
All right. Well, I'm seeing an attraction with Bernie and the young folks.
Yes.
But I'm also seeing, like in the southern states, Hillary is taking it away. Yes. And there's a lot of, black folks that are in the South. So is she now not attracting the younger group anymore? Or?
Well, Bernie is saying what young people really want to hear because they don't understand our financial conditions all over the country. Many of our young people, whatever their ethnicity is or gender, everything is free, just like when they were growing up even in our homes. Free giveaway, free.
Right.
But then when you get down to the reality of it, And so seasoned and mature citizens all over the country.
And it's interesting because I don't think we see as many younger people joining organizations like Rotary or organizations, fundraising organizations or whatever it might be. You just don't see the younger people joining. Even in church groups,
That's correct.
you don't see them joining.
Young people are not really caught up in the organizational structures that we understood. And the reason for that is they don't have an opportunity to really share their points of view. We tend to push them away more than we tend to bring them in. And so
Right.
the Bernie Sanders mystique that seems to be going on.
Yeah, it's great. So join us next time. We'll
Sure.
talk about Black Lives Matter.
Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
That's great. So coming up, Pasadena has a number of sister cities throughout the world.
I know. Michael Warner with the Pasadena Sister City Committee is going to be here next.
Say that 3 times.
I know.